Hello, Geeks and Gamers. Matt Lemke here with your gamer goggles, and this is Josh, and this is David, my two boys. Who, well, yeah, they're still boys. They're not quite ready to be almost men. You laugh. We had a rare experience at Origins. We got to play Myth, which is a very popular Kickstarter that's brought to you by the Mercs Miniatures guys. We actually didn't play the mainstream regular board game version of it. We played the prototype, but when I say we didn't play the mainstream, we played a offshoot version of the rules called Slaughterfield, which is kind of like a whole bunch of heroes get thrown into an arena, and then they just keep sending out monsters until you die. And that's pretty good summation of the game. The Slaughterfield version, that is. You pretty much just pray to whatever the gods may be that you survive the next wave. So it's kind of like a cross between a board game, a miniatures game, and the heavy gear version of the game where they just send in waves and waves and waves of bad guys to kill you, and you kind of see if you can live. So I'm going to go ahead and let David tell you about his experience first, and then we're going to go to Joshua, and I'm going to finish with a little bit of summation that might actually shed a little bit more light on the game.
I played as a soldier, and whenever I played, we kind of didn't do very well because our healer died on the second wave. But then on the third wave, I got quadruple teamed and I lost 10 health. And then the priest died. And then the game was over with Josh the rogue being last alive. And that's why he won. But it's not that surprising that the rogue won, because the last one standing should be the person that you can't see.
Okay, so was there anything actually about the game that was fun?
Everything.
Everything. Be a little bit more specific.
I liked killing things.
But in comparison to other games, board games, what made this so fun for you?
I got to kill things a lot more. Like other board games, you don't really get to kill things, and with this game,
I guess
the monsters all have preset characteristics to go towards whoever has the highest threat value.
Well, that's not entirely true, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
Because what they have is they have pre-arranged or preset programming. All the creatures are programmed because what happens is some will go for the highest threat value and some will go for the least threat value. And, well, that was our limited experience because we didn't make it past wave 3. Anyway, on to Joshua.
It was 1 a.m, and I was tired. But it was still fun. I stopped being tired because it was fun. I played as a rogue, and I didn't think I would get to kill much, but I was completely wrong. It's like, I like how it's like a bunch of, it's like miniatures and cards and dice all combined, and you can do really cool things and annihilate the enemy. And I was really all over the board like a rat, and then I remembered that my character is a rat.
What about when you first started playing during the first wave? You were misinterpreting a couple of cards. When you found out or discovered or light was shed on how those cards really worked, what happened?
Well, at first I stared at them and my brain hurt, but then I could annihilate like 5 dudes in one turn.
Yeah, but how can you annihilate 5 guys in one turn?
Well, I combined, I think it was 3 cards, and instead of attacking like 4 times or 5, I got to roll a dice for 1 attack and move through 6 squares. So yeah, there was like 4 this way and then 1 this way. Yeah, so I got to run through all of them, and they all died, and then I turned it this way, and that one died too. And I got 3 of them.
Treasure.
Yeah.
Thought I picked that up.
Oh, maybe you did. Oh, yeah, because
Yeah.
then
the,
David
the,
killed someone.
the priest with the acolyte came by and picked up the rogue's treasure. And nothing ironic about that. Well, I played the acolyte, as I just mentioned, and I actually, for those of you that followed the Kickstarter, that is the blindfolded warrior-esque looking character with the really big hammer, and it really is a big hammer. Well, the game in and of itself works off of action points, threat value, and Slaughterfield works off of waves where all the creatures are actually randomly generated on all 4 corners. So on the first wave, you can have maybe as few as 4 monsters to maybe as many as 30 monsters for your party to contend with. So you can have quite a handful. Early on in the game, you draw your cards, and my hand was, well, lo and behold, I had no healing spells for the first 2 waves, actually. And actually, I had the healing spells always at the wrong time. So when we first started, I drew into these really good spells for killing things. So the acolyte went into beatdown mode, and he got to crush some skulls. Yes, he was Conan the cleric. And then, when I needed healing spells, I absolutely got to do nothing with the acolyte. So there is a certain amount of random element in the game with drawing. But what's really cool about it is you draw your cards out of your hand. You play a different amount of actions each turn. And when you play an action, if it generates, I'm not remembering the actual term, but if it generates a action point, we'll call it, because I do believe that's what they were called, you track that on a board, and that kind of helps tell the monsters or the bad guys and the bosses what they're going to do or how much of a threat they are. So you can imagine how fast the game can accelerate in speed if there's 4 people playing and they're all generating action points. Now, hindsight being, not all cards generate action points. Some of them have a 0 cost to them. So you can mix and match things and play combinations and do all kinds of cool, crazy things. Now, with Slaughterfield, or at least with the prototype game, none of the heroes' decks were customizable. But the randomness offered does create, a certain strategic element to it. And since it was Slaughterfield, I'm going to say Slaughterfield is a semi-cooperative backstabbing game, while Myth in and of itself is a fully cooperative game. And here's the why. In Slaughterfield, you want to be the last man standing. You're not going to be the last man standing if you don't help the other heroes. It's pretty much that simple. The trick with Slaughterfield is really trying to figure out when to shove everybody overboard, and you get to keep the ship. So, on that note, I think that Myth was definitely worth the investment that we made for the Kickstarter. And I don't have any concerns about how fun. I know the game's going to be fun now. The concern I had going into it was it's not something that we had really seen. We watched the video. I'm a miniatures guy, so I was really buying into it originally for the miniatures. Now I'm actually going to play the board game. Especially because it's so smooth. It was just that smooth. There's a series of checks and balances. There's the differences in the threat values. There's differences in the randomness of the game. And there's enough different creatures and plans for who knows what else down the line with Myth. It is definitely, I would say, in my opinion, it's the best new game that I've played this year. And it's not even out yet. So, and since it might not come out until 2014, that really says a lot. What do you think about the game?
It was
Like 1 or 2 sentences. Your turn.
It was probably the best game I played at Origins, which is good because I played a lot of games at Origins.
Yeah, he's picky. He's really picky.
I think it was the best board game I've ever played.
And in the last couple of years, well, you've seen a lot of the videos of box breakings, so you get an idea of how many games that they get to play. So thanks for watching this. I hope that if you have bought into Myth and you have some concerns about how good the game is going to be, this helps put it at ease. It is a very smooth game, and I hope that if maybe you're teetering on buying Myth and when it comes out, this will help you with what you wanted to see and hear and put a little bit of your thoughts at ease. If you have any questions, feel free to email us, or you feel free to make posts at the bottom of the video, and I'll try and keep up as best I can to answer these. And of course, you can always subscribe to us on Facebook or Twitter, whatever your social media is that you prefer. But when the game comes out, which I can't quote them on this, but Brian does seem to think that there's a good chance the Myth board game will start arriving or be in print sometime around November. So we will do a box breaking since we have already bought into the Kickstarter, and we'll be able to share all that, and we'll do some gameplay demos and all that fun stuff too. So have a good night.